a Friday. I tell you, hurry fast traffic on the highway. You know we got unbeatable prices. Furniture, electronics, and appliances. Are you coming? Yeah. Weekly prices. And best things of the season. Shop and quick to it. And don't forget to next year, January. Crocodile come down to go. What's already low? What's already low? Price now, already low.
You an easy way to pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Whoa!
It's officially white potato season in Dominica. To celebrate, Bloombox is giving you the chance to win a 196cc 4-stroke 6.5 horsepower tiller valued at over $3,000. Wow! You heard right. Simply make a purchase of $75 or more between October 13th and December 27th, 2025, and you'll be automatically entered for a chance to win this powerhouse machine to make your next planting season even easier. Winner will be announced on December 29th. Visit us at Bloombox Goodwill and Roseau. Terms and conditions apply. Let's bloom together with Bloombox.
Make this brand love happen. The finest love we have.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Dio Kubule, Teta Nukabwe, Dio Kubule, Teta Mulewe, Hele Kubule, Nuka Chede Fo, Selma Kubule, Pake Angi Onko, Bakalaje, 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 Dio Nukabwe Kubule, Bakalaje, 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 Dio Nukabwe Kubule, Bakalaje, 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 Nukabwe Kubule, Bakalaje, 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 Nukabwe Kubule.
Drink responsibly.
Esau Trading Limited 47th Independence Celebration is on. Shop $47 and over and get a chance to win $3,000 worth of vouchers. First prize winners receive a $500 voucher. Second prize winners $300 voucher. Third prize winners $200 voucher. And 20 vouchers will be available at the value of $100 each. This Independence season, Esau Trading Limited is offering senior citizens 15% discount every Wednesday from October 15th to November 25th, 2025. Also, loyalty card holders will receive double points every Tuesday and Thursdays. And customers who purchase one packet of Hare's Deep Dish Pizza 6 ounce or Hare's Restaurant Style 9 ounce will get a 1 ounce packet free honey cheese flavored or barbecue flavored potato chip. You will also get 10% off 8 packet 1 ounce Hare's snacks. Hurry, this offer ends on November 15th, 2025. Esau Trading Limited, We are here for you.
It is our 43rd Global View on Q show for 2025, and we continue to engage with our local, regional, and global Q family listeners and friends of Dominica at home and abroad. My co-host is Justice Dr. Irving Andre. Our guest tonight is businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly. Tonight we ask, has the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, in agribusiness, in manufacturing, in tourism, in foreign relations, in modern healthcare, and state-of-the-art education in preparation for this era of knowledge industry. So here are some issues and questions we want to deal with tonight. Dictatorship and development. Are these two concepts mutually exclusive? Has development in Dominica been stultified by dictatorship? Have the fruits of money laundering destroyed Dominica's development? Has industry been destroyed by the vanity of our leaders? Has government ownership of services such as Domlec reduced the cost of electricity in Dominica? Will foreign management of geothermal energy result in lower energy costs in Dominica? Has a plan of personal enrichment replaced an integrated plan for development in Dominica? What have been Dominica's long-term goals over the past 25 years? Does Dominica have any long-term integrated goals and plans? Are there implementation strategies to achieve such goals and plans? And if any, are the implementers of such strategies knowledgeable, trained, and competent in the necessary fields? Or are these decisions being taken by on a whim as we go along? So what is the winning strategy in terms of, or what is the financial strategy to assist local entrepreneurs in undertaking their projects and in sustaining new investments? And then how is construction of major infrastructure projects like links to planned economic growth and progress? As I always say, thinking forward towards 2028, of the Dominica's 50th anniversary of independence, what are the people's expectations for their well-being? Are they satisfied with the current conditions and lack of economic and social progress? So we look forward to the suggestions of our panel, or listeners, or callers and viewers on Facebook and YouTube on this topic. Has the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, agribusiness, manufacturing, tourism, foreign relations, modern healthcare, and state-of-the-art education in preparation for this era of knowledge industry? And what needs to be done to move beyond these 25 years of economic stagnation and oppression and away from dictatorship ahead of our 50th anniversary of independence? So Justice Dr. Irving Andre and businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly will share their ideas on this topic. So let's talk tomorrow, Tuesday night, from 8 p.m. on the Global View.
It's Kaiso, Kaiso, Kaiso! Yes, the Calypso season is upon us. Saturday, December 13, 2025 at the factory, Valley Road, only $20. 8 o'clock, seating only $30. Come here, the beginning of the season, and make sure you're there till the end. Many Calypsonians will be competing. Only 12 gladiators will make it. The grand eliminations for the 2026 Calypso season, Saturday, 13 December 2025. Remember, 8 o'clock at the factory. Come here, the funny songs, the serious songs, political songs, everything. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your dog, and come. Kaiso, Kaiso, Kaiso.
All right, Dominica, good morning, good morning, good morning. I think the other leader is running behind the time. You know, once there's a cruise ship in port, it's somewhat difficult navigating through traffic, huh? I suspect we'll have to find another port somewhere. But it seems all attention is focused on the tourists. Once there's a cruise ship in port, so everybody else is... You feel like you're a stepchild, huh? But at least we have one leader thus far. I think the others may be on their way, but we'll start off. Of course, we don't have... We don't have it all morning, so let's say good morning to, of course, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, the only leader in the house thus far. The others will join, I imagine, sometime during the hour. So let's say good morning to Dr. Thompson Fontaine, no stranger to the studio for sure.
Matt, good morning to you and to your many listeners. Certainly a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, and as I said, of course, we expect the other leaders sometime later during the hours, and so we'll welcome them when they get here. But we can start the conversation, I'm sure. So how is Dr. Thompson Fontaine? How you doing?
Matt, I'm doing well, giving thanks, happy to be here on home soil always. And Dominic is a beautiful place. You get up in the morning and, it's nice, fresh breezes, and, pleasant air, you breathe
You wake up
oxygen, so it's great. It's great to be here. Otherwise, I would have been in my garden this morning.
in your garden so early this morning?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. You see, my hands are beginning to get really, zampuded, zampud. But it's all good. I love the soil. I love being, feeling the dirt, and in the rain, the sun, and it's great. It's great.
So how is Dr. Fontaine doing, as it relates to the politics on the ground as we speak?
Well, Matt, the past several weeks I've been devoted to visiting as many communities as possible. Spend a lot of time doing that, trying to make contact with as many people as possible on the ground. And I've been doing that.
Is in your constituency?
Not only in my constituency, I've been doing that in conjunction with some of our potential candidates or caretakers. We have been going around in the communities and just talking to people. And more recently, we have been talking about the confirmation process, but also talking to them about their lives, about what they want to see, about they're getting their opinions on this government, on their own situation. And, for example, just this past weekend, Saturday, we spent the evening at Silver Lake. And I must say, I was much surprised by the number of young people that are now in the Silver Lake area. And also just the hardships, because the vast majority that we spoke with. We're talking about persons in 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and so on. They're not working. And that to me is a big problem, that, and you see that repeated in community after community. You meet these young people who, most of them have gone to high school, and they're just there on the blocks effectively, not working. And that to me is a serious issue that must be addressed and must be addressed urgently. We have to do better by our young people. We must create more opportunities for young people. And that's the reason why, Martin, even in the plan that we have, we're looking at the 10 pillars. We are focused so importantly on our young people, in the sense that we are looking at how we can create opportunities for them, how we can retain them here in Dominica. And just by accident, somebody just called me from St. Kitts just as I was waiting there to come on the radio station, and they said they were at a function yesterday, and they were surprised to see the number of Dominicans, former teachers at the State College, a lot of Dominicans that would otherwise be here in Dominica over there in St. Kitts, and how many of them were expressing a desire to come back to Dominica. So I believe that there is an opportunity for us to really create a space for young people to contribute in a more meaningful fashion to Dominica.
When you say young people, I want to underline this, because sometimes we've heard many young people saying they're in distress, they're this, they're that. But as it relates to election day, they almost change their mind, after 48 hours. Once the bell is rung, they change their mind because something is offered. What is it that you can offer this time that you did not offer the last time?
Right. So, Matt, what we're trying to do, in fact, in all the conversations we have been having, is like, I'm telling them, listen, we believe that United Workers Party Team Dominica can offer you a way forward. We believe we have a plan to revamp the economy, to create jobs, to create opportunities for the young people, but you have to help us. You have to play your part. And your part is to ensure that you vote for us. We've had some problems in the past attracting the young voter, and as you said, a lot of it has been in response to what has been given by the government. As you know, the largest of the CBI resources, and being able to give and to bribe and so on. So we are telling people, think of your future, think beyond the bribe, think beyond what they're going to offer you. And as we tell them, so for example, I was telling the young people in at Silver Lake on Saturday, I'm sure that the government is going to come, the Labour Party is going to come. Now that they know that we've been on the ground there with you, they're going to come and offer you stuff. But you have to be able to say, okay, well, that's our stuff from the government. We are taking it. But at the end of the day, we want better for ourselves. And I think that is where the conversation has to be. And a lot of the talking that we're doing is try to convince people of that the Labour Party is going to come at you hard. They're going to offer you bribes. If last election, they offered you $500, this election, they're going to offer you $2,000, $3,000. You have to be in a position to say, well, no, we want better. That does not help. That does not, because at the end of the year, 5 years they're without employment, 5 years they're on the blocks. And it cannot be that in one moment of forgetfulness, you forget that you've been struggling, you've been suffering when these guys come and offer you this kind of money. So it's something that we have to really fight against, this what we call the money influence that we are seeing, and the fact that this Labour Party government has been willing to use it for our young people or against our young people. And it's a real struggle. It's a real battle to be able to tell them, no, we have something. We cannot offer you $2,000 now, but what we can offer you is a better economy. What we can offer you is opportunities. And I hope that people buy into this message that we're offering.
But that is a fundamental struggle, if you will, just to say it literally here. Because I'm being offered $2,000. I'm just thinking in the minds of the people, I've not been working, and somebody comes and say, well, it's become very transactional. I mean, that's the reality, Thompson.
That's the reality, man, and that's what we are up against. And the fact of the matter is, this government appears to have limitless resources, in the sense that they clearly have set aside substantial amounts of the CBI proceeds just for those purposes. So they have no shortage of cash, as it were. And that is something that we have to be aware of, that we are very much aware of. And that's why I believe talking to people, gaining their trust, gaining their respect, convincing them that we can do better in terms of the economy, and that they have to look at the long term. Forget the short-term gratification. It is good for a few minutes, but at the end of the day, the $2,000, $3,000 you get is going to disappear. what's next. And I think that is the core message we want to bring to young people. And I must say, Matt, I've been encouraged by the response so far. It does appear to me that the 19, 20-year-olds are not as inclined to this government as those who are just a bit older, like the 25, 26, 30-year-olds. I'm seeing more and more that the younger people are saying that they want different. There seems to be that move, that wave, and you can see it as you go through the various communities. You kind of get the sense that these younger 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds are saying, I think they've had enough. And that is a very good and encouraging sign.
Well, what do you think the older ones, in other words, say if you're 25 to 35, what do you think they're still sticking with Labour?
I think, Matt, they have for so long, they have not seen any movement. It's almost like you grow accustomed to it, and I think that's what the problem is. That the older folk who understand things and have been aware for the past 15, 20 years or so on, they have come to the point and realize, hey, this country is not going to get better. So their focus now is not so much on Dominica. Their focus now is on how can we get out? How can we? So a lot of their effort, a lot of their planning, a lot of the time that they're spending not thinking about how they can make it in Dominica, but how they can make it out of Dominica. And that is where I think
so you're saying there are droves of persons living,
absolutely. I mean, Matt, you just go through all of the islands. I just gave you the example of St. Kitts, and in fact, the person who I was talking to just a while ago told me that they understand that there are more people living in Nevis, more Dominicans in Nevis than there are in St. Kitts, so that gives you an idea that our people are going, Tortola, Anguilla, all of the chain of islands.
Well, it appears that the CBI program is bleak, though. The future of and this is one of the strategies you may want to employ in terms of saying, well, there's not a future for CBI.
Yes, Matt, there isn't. Quite frankly, there isn't. I mean, it is hard to imagine the CBI program surviving. Because already we are seeing the posture of the European Union. It's just a matter of time before the European Parliament, I believe, put visa restrictions on Dominica. The US, they're applying pressure as well. It is very hard to see the survival of this, because at the very foundation of this is the concern that these country authorities have that the CBI poses a security threat to the world. And when you have a situation where it's a matter of security, then that makes it very difficult to recover from that. And some of the assurances that they have been trying to get from our governments and St. Lucia and Antigua and so on, they've not really gotten it. And that's the reason why we see those legislation come into bear and so on. But at the end of the day, it is very likely that we'll see the end of the CBI program. And that's the reason why, Matt, even if you look at our 10 pillars, at the 10 pillars that we are proposing for shared prosperity for Dominica, the CBI does not feature much in that. We are, if we get the CBI, that will be icing on the cake. But for us, we're not building our future on CBI. A future for us in Dominica means a revitalizing of the agriculture sector. It means creating jobs through manufacturing, through artificial intelligence, through the knowledge-based industries. It means expanding our tourism product. It means, doing those things that we have better control over, because we believe that way we can create sustainable jobs, we can create opportunities, and above all, Matt, we can create wealth for the people of Dominica.
I've heard many minister or government officials say, if not CBI, then what?
Yeah, Matt, we have everything else.
So where are the alternatives?
The alternatives are in agriculture, in manufacturing, in the knowledge-based industries, in artificial intelligence, in communications, in tourism. I mean, there's so many areas in which you can make money, and that is an important thing. You want to be, because bear in mind, even with the CBI was there, yeah, revenues were coming in, but it was not really creating jobs. We are the poorest that we are in Dominica today, notwithstanding the billions of dollars generated by the CBI program. And there's a reason for that. It is very easy to hoard. It's very easy to divert those level of resources. On the other hand, if you're building an agriculture sector, if you're building a manufacturing sector, you need hands, you need people to run it. You need people to be paid, to be compensated. You need people to be thinking of creative ideas and so on. So at the end of the day, a lot of people will be employed. The wealth is spread when you focus on those industries. When you focus on something like the CBI program, it does a disadvantage. It's almost like the oil curse. What we talk about the Dutch disease, the oil curse, where countries that have this huge amount of resources normally do not do as well. We have a similar situation in Dominica. It is not oil, but we have revenues in billions of dollars coming from the sale of the passport. But at the end of the day, it has not benefited the country to the extent that it should have.
Let me say good morning to Mr. Ito, the leader of the Freedom Party, just walked in. Of course, we do understand that the traffic issues in Roseau is keeping a lot of people behind. So let's say good morning to Mr. Ito. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, Matt, and good morning to all the listeners on Q95. And happy to be here. As you said, apologies for being a bit late, but it's brutal. It's something we have to fix, actually.
I was just talking about that. I mean, we have to find alternative routes, to get around the city, because once there's a cruise ship in port, then everything else is locked down.
Absolutely. And isn't that the things we should be prioritizing? If you really are a government who cares about development, who cares about logistics, who cares about efficiency, these are the things you would be focusing on for the past 20 years. And so the fact that the important things are not addressed at all, even simple things as sidewalks, simple things as you said, alternative routes, simple things that really help our country become more efficient and effective, are not addressed. So that tells you that no one's got their eye on the ball.
Well, we were talking, of course, CBI, and of course we are looking at the alternatives, because I've heard it many times. If not CBI, then what? Where do we go, Seito? Where do we turn to? Or what do we turn to?
Yeah, I think Thompson covered it well, and he was quite right about the Dutch disease phenomenon. There's a difference between capacity, capability, and money. And the CBI brings in money, funds, currency, but that does not create any capacity, does not create any human capital, does not create the ability to create more. And that's what a country needs. A country needs to be able to create more over time. And how do you do that? You improve your human capacity, you improve your physical capital, you improve your investments, and you try to generate creativity, innovativeness in your people. And out of that's true development. When you create that capacity, then you can add more wealth to the value chain, the global value chain. And that is the only thing that allows a country to become wealthy. How much do you add in the value chain of human endeavors on this planet? And that is what we have to do. Simply taking CBI money and doing a few white elephant projects and building a few structures. And
you say white elephant?
Yes, absolutely white elephant. It's a thing that you build these big fancy structures like the pyramids, let's say. They do nothing for your economy, but they look good. They are vanity projects. They make the leader look at these awesome things these leaders are doing by building these monuments all over the place, which is what these hotels are, monuments, because they're not occupied anyway. So they are, in fact, very much like the pyramids. And that's what happened. Is vanity projects is painting a picture, but behind the curtain there is nothing. And that is what Thompson is talking about, and what I believe in as well. That we have to build capacity, we have to build human capital and the things that allow us to generate things. And Thompson talked about a lot of the areas. Mm-hmm. Energy is a big one. There's no reason in the world this country with bountiful amounts of energy can be an exporter of energy, a net exporter. For geothermal, for hydrogen, creativity, for data mining, through many, many, many things. I mean, you simply have to sit down and develop an economic plan for Dominica, and you will see that what do you mean, if not CBI, what? There are myriad things. It takes good leadership, innovation, creativity to actually utilize those things properly. We should be the adventure capital of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But of course, before you came in, I just want to go back there. We were talking about getting the young people on board, and Thompson said that they've been on the ground trying to, connect with the young people, and in Dominica, the young people are attracted to SeaWorld, and the Labour Party has been able to provide that. What is it that you guys can do to bring the young people on board?
Yeah, a certain amount of SeaWorld in our Caribbean culture is all right. That's part of who we are. All right, we don't want to become North America that's all sober and doesn't have a bit of fun and works endlessly until they die. So there is a certain value to our relaxed Caribbean culture, but at the same time, you have to have productivity, and you have to have vision, and you have to have goals, and you have to have aspirations and hope, most of all. And that's the thing that our young people miss most, is a sense of hope. So how do we bring them about? Give them what they lack, give them what they suffer for, which is a lack of hope, a lack of seeing a future on this island. I mean, I don't know one young person I have spoken to that have see a future on this island. The only thing they want to do is get out as quickly as possible. And that is what we have to provide: a sense of hope, a sense of possibility, a sense that you can stay here and build a career that is worthy of your life energy before you depart this.
For example.
Well, some of the things we were talking about earlier, because what is it that young people, these are digital natives, right? We are digital nomads. We came into the digital age. These people were born into the digital age, and you have to capitalize. They have a certain skill set. They have a certain sensibility of understanding those digital economy things natively. They don't have to think about it very much, or even learn it very much. They're born into this. And so you have to understand that and start transforming a large portion of Dominica's economy into those sort of forward-looking industries, right? This is the datafication of the world going on. The world is driven by data. The world is driven by information, because what is information? When I make a microchips, I take a bunch of sand, and my knowledge of what I can do to transform it into something useful is what makes it valuable. And so you see, information and knowledge is not just something abstract. It's a very real thing that creates economic value. And that's what we need to do. Do things that develop economies. I think a third of our economy should be driven by digital economy things, industries that allow young people to be engaged and to utilize those skills and to see a future and to get paid very well, because these skills are highly paid globally. And we can offer these things at half the price in terms of payment to those things, and still that would be an extraordinary amount of money for a young person in Dominica.
But this is if you would understand, this is long term. No, these people want
within
short term projects. Huh?
No, this can be done within a few years. If you give me $10 million, I can create an industry in 3 or 4 years, because it takes 6 months to train someone to do some of those skills. It takes another year and so on. And a lot of those things are skills based, not necessarily earning a degree. So you have short-term programs that you can start doing, and you can enter onto the low end of the digital economy. Things like a back-end support, like data processing, like tagging things for artificial intelligence, and labeling things, and all of those things that can be done within a year. All you need is a good contract and the ability to talk to the right people in the metropolitan areas. And we need to have people with those skill sets to
And you say none of that is happening as we speak?
Of course not. None of that is happening. The only thing they will do is now and then, because we speak about it, throw in something about, we're doing some digital trading skills. When you look at it, it's like next to nothing, right? It's like, how do you fill in a form? Or how do you scan a thing and make it digital? I mean, really silly things. And they offer these things as a program, but they don't have anyone in North America closing deals with companies. They don't have anyone trading people. They don't have anyone identifying possibility of our students doing exchange programs. Nothing substantial that could create an industry. They simply don't know what to do, or they do not care what to do. But what they're doing, no executive in an industry look at that and say that that's a program and a platform for developing a sector. Not at all.
I was talking to Thompson earlier, suspect you may have, and I want you guys to, of course, come back and focus on this. We're talking about a government that is offering, say, $2,000, $5,000 to a potential voter. What is it the opposition can offer? I mean, we're talking, real stuff here, the reality. What is it that the opposition can offer these young people? I'm sure if we're talking reality, well, I have to eat my breakfast, I have to eat my lunch, I need something in my hands. What is it that you can offer these young people?
Well, let me say this. I think offering young people money for votes is wrong. Not only is it wrong because it is to me highly unethical, but it is wrong because it creates a sort of a perverse cultural attitude towards democracy, responsibility, citizenship, and life. So I don't think we should offer in any way cash payments to young people. I think it creates we lose the soul of Dominica if we do that. So we won't do that. But what we can do is the things that I'm talking about. For example, I was not in politics. I was not involved in this thing, but I was able to create dozens of scholarships for young people in the United States. I was able to mentor scores more. I was able to provide advice and direction to people who have thriving careers now. And that is the sort of thing that we need to do as, I think, an opposition, is to create those opportunities, write grants, programs that allow young people to be funded for their education, to be funded on projects, to put together real projects that can employ them, maybe not full-time, but part-time, and provide some income, but most importantly, to provide them the vision, the guidance, the opportunities, the pathways, open their eyes to the possibilities of what they can do now, lift their eyes up from a sense of desolation and oppression to a sense of hope and optimism. I think that's the biggest thing that we can give to young people. And I think it can be done if we can give them hope, optimism, and pathways to carve a path out of their malaise. That's the most valuable thing.
Let me go back. Let me introduce Joshua. You just stepped in there, and of course Thompson.
Yes, I just wanted to weigh in very, very, very quickly.
Go ahead,
if you will, just very, very quickly on this. I think it's an important point that has been made by Bernard. I just wanted to support this. Dominica is what I call an economist's dream. What do I mean by this? I spent the last 30 years of my life working mainly overseas in different countries, different economies. And what I noticed, a number of those countries have probably one sector, one thing that they can look to. Dominica has several. We have agriculture, we have energy, and in terms of energy, we have all the renewable energies. That's the thing that the world is looking for. We even have the potential to go into hydrogen, production and so on. You have water, and you have your human resource. So we have all of those resources right there available to us. We have young people who leave Dominica, quite frankly, and excel. They excel in St. Kitts, they excel in Jamaica, they excel in the United States. So we have that resource, and it's just a matter of bringing those together. Where we've dropped the ball, and this Labour Party government has dropped the ball, is that they have not really been concerned about the development of this country. But if they were really concerned about developing this country, putting people to work, creating wealth, this place could be a haven, and that is what we offer. You've heard Bernard, I'm sure you'll hear Josh in a while, and I can tell you that is what we can offer to the young people of Dominica, to this country, that we can take what we have. We can take our agriculture sector, we can take our water sector, we can take our energy sector, we can harness our human resource, bring that together in a way that we can generate wealth, we can create jobs, and make this place a paradise for everybody.
Joshua, I mean, we have spoken on a number of occasions. You've said over and over again, politics in Dominica has become very transactional. Now, you agree that that's how it is. So what is the alternative in terms of trying to get the young people on board? Because you cannot offer the same thing that the Labour Party is offering. So what is the alternative? What do you give? Or what do you say?
Good morning, Matt.
Morning to you.
And good morning to these esteemed gentlemen, Dr. Fountain and Mr. Ito. Good morning to your listeners. The patois continues, Matt. You're practicing Bonjour, Monsieur. Hola.
You're practicing hola.
I'm practicing. I'm in the nets.
No tutla.
Où ça parle patois, Ito?
Oui, man, ça parle patois.
Et puis, Thompson, ça parle un petit patois.
Moi, c'est patois même.
Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to be in your company. Matt, your question, young people.
Yes, young people.
Well, we have to build relationships with young people, Matt. We have to meet young people where they are. And of course, on my way, I did hear Dr. Fountain speaking about going on the ground. That is one of the areas that we must meet the young people. We have to go to their homes. We have to go on their playing fields. We have to go on the social media platform. Young people, that's where they are. But we must not only meet with the young people, we must give a message to the young people, and the message must be one of hope. I did hear Bernard speaking about facilitating young people to get grants for projects, helping them to get scholarships. And yes, we have to do those things, but we can only do so much for so many young people. I believe that collectively, we have to give the young people hope. Matt, you must appreciate that the young people really are the jewels of the nation. They are the gems. The future of the nation rests on the young people. And therefore, any right-thinking leader must focus on the young people, not only winning them to get an election victory, but winning them to build the nation. And in that respect, I would say that one of the diagnoses in determining our issues here, our challenges here, is that we don't do enough for the young people. As a matter of fact, this country has not created an environment for young people to realize their dreams. Hence, one of the reasons why we continue to suffer with brain drain. And any developing country, a small country like ours, where the young people are leaving our shores, that is a problem. So, as a leader, one of my first objectives would be to try to get our young people to stay in Dominica. Of course, we do not have the universities to have our young people stay there physically, but we must find a way to get our young people, for those who are involved in skills and vocational practices, to stay here in Dominica. And for those academics, those who go into different career paths, medicine, engineering, and so on and so forth, we have to find a way for them to get back into Dominica. And that is one of the weaknesses of this current government, where it is boasting one graduate per household, which is a millennial United Nations goal anyway. It's not anything innovative on the part of our government. And sadly, we have not created a situation for the young people to come back. So our young people leave the shores, they go and study, they go to the United States, and they don't want to come back because they will say, coming back to what? So we have to create a Dominica where these young people can come back and to give their talents, give their energy, and give their resource so we can take this country to another level. So Matt, even before we answer those questions, I think that it's important for us to make a diagnosis of Dominica. What are the issues? What are the challenges? Where are we? So when we do that, we get a clear idea as to where we are, and then we start getting the remedies. It's like going to a doctor. You go to a doctor, the doctor is not just going to start and prescribe medicines to you. The doctor will diagnose you. And from where we stand and from where I look, Dominica has several challenges. And of course, one of them is the fact that we have not been able to encourage our young people to grow and to realize their dreams. So as leaders, as Thompson said, we have to go on the ground. We have to talk to them on social media platforms on the ground. We have to give them hope. We have to show them, look, there's an alternative. There is a path where they can realize their dreams and live a better life.
Enough is not being done. That's your admission here. Enough knocking of doors not being done. So why is it not being done?
Well, Matt, politics takes a lot of energy. A lot of energy. And I'm very glad to hear Dr. Fontaine saying that he has been on the ground. And reports are that he has been on the ground. I'm not too sure whether Bernard is equally on the ground, but I myself, I know what it takes. And I know one of the things that are required is being very aggressive on the ground, knocking the doors, going to the churches.
Somebody said yesterday we should reach out to this new mayor in New York and try to find out, what did he do? When somebody else said, well, Joshua did it, so everybody else could do it. No, right here we have a mayor of New York because Joshua did. But I want to encourage, of course, the phone calls. We want to be very interactive. Not only me can ask the question, so you can also ask the question as well. On telephone, are you there, yes?
Yes, Matt. Good morning to you, and good morning to your esteemed panelists.
Thank you.
Matt, I heard you ask Dr. Fong, or talk to Dr. Fontaine about the fact that Labour Party has money and what are they going to offer people. But I just want to interject and say that if any political party, namely Labour Party, because they have been doing that, offer you $5,000 to vote, man. I'm not even going to talk about the $1,000 Dr. Fontaine talk about. $5,000 to vote. We have 365 days in a year, right? And when you divide that by the 5 years, right, 1,000, right, 1,825 days. When you divide that 5,000 by 1,825 days, you only get $2.73 a day to eat, right? So I cannot accept money from any politician. I will accept a job, an opportunity to work. I will not accept any money from any politician because they will never be able to give me enough money that would make me be able to eat and my family be able to eat and drink for 5 years. So I'm asking.
So let me just ask you, of course, the reality of the situation is I have not been working for, say, as you said, 2 years. And somebody comes and says, why, boy, you really need your vote, but here's $5,000. Do you tell him to take it?
I will tell him not to take it, Matt. I will tell him stand on dignity, Matt, and look for a job because that is not going to help you in the long run. Matt, for you to save $10,000 in a year, for anybody to save $10,000 in a year, every day you have to be able to save $27.30 or 39 cents. for you to save $10,000 a year. So when they give you that $5,000, they're not giving you enough money to be able to sustain your family for 5 years. So I'm asking everybody that anybody who comes and gives you money, reject it, because that's not a good thing for you going forward, Matt. Good morning to you and gentlemen.
All right, good morning to you. Good morning. Feel free, anytime to call, and we're going to take your calls. And, of course, have you to interact with the panel here this morning. We have Mr. Bernard Ito. We have Joshua Francis. Bernard Ito of the Freedom Party. Joshua Francis of the UPP. And, of course, Dr. Thompson Fontaine of the United Workers' Party. A lot of comments there already on Facebook. Nice seeing you guys together. Unity is key. We have to unite to get this man out of Dominica. Dominica deserves better. That's so true. You're watching on the outside and saying that was a 4 or 6. Nice ball. You guys need to stick together. And that's what the message is on some of the messages we read on Facebook this morning. I'm sure others will comment. But again, the numbers are 449-309-596-97. Let's take another phone call. Are you there? Yes? Uh-huh.
Good morning, Mr. Peltier.
Good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
And good morning to your panelists.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Matt, I want to make a point. I keep on hearing people talking about on the ground. Here's what I want to ask, Matt. Most of people want to be the political parties to be on the ground. Candidates matters. Joshua Francis won the Rose Resort because Joshua Francis was on the ground as a candidate and said to the people what he was going to do for them. So at that time, the people knew who Joshua Francis was. They was all around with Joshua Francis, pushing him forward because the people in that area knew him. They made that choice. That is who they wanted. And therefore, that is how he moved forward. But can the UWP say who is the candidate for, let's put an example, Maho constituency or Granby constituency or whatever constituency? So if the people know the individuals that are going to represent them in the House, the people choose those individuals, not the political leader, but the people choose that individual. So then the people on the ground will be working with that individual because that individual that they want.
Let me interject there before Thompson comes in. I'm of course, I'm on the ground, maybe interviewing a lot of people that from various constituencies. And I realize, based on my conversation with various leaders, that a lot of people don't want to show their face because they are afraid of being victimized. This is part of the problem that I don't think a lot of the potential candidates are suffering at this time. What is your response to that?
Matt, that is the problem that we have. Victimized about what, Matt? What is there to lose? What is there to be afraid of? That you want better for your country? That is all it is. Better you want for your country. And people keep on talking about that victimization. But there's a gentleman that I love, Matt, from Salisbury. His name is Hilary Shillingford, Matt. And this man will tell you, they know victimization about war. Why? So what? So what? You just simply want better for your country. That's all it is. And people keep on having that fear about victimization, Matt. And that is what that is killing. That is what is being used, Matt, to put people in the back burner, to put people all the way back because people are afraid of they being victimized, trying to help your country move forward. And that's all I have to say. So I just wish that they would put people in the different areas so that people will know who they are and stop having that fear about victimization.
Let me hear the leaders on that one.
Yeah, Matt, I want to say two things about that. First, it's not fear of victimization. It's a real concern. It's a real fear. Because people who have offered themselves up, especially if you're a public servant, especially if you're working in the government, especially if you have a small business, you are going to get victimized. It has happened over and over and over again. I mean, you can talk to scores and scores of people who have gone through it, who tell you that their lives will change. And think of some, for example, you have a young person, say in their mid-30s, they have a mortgage, they have a family, all right, and they know that they want to serve their country at that level, and they're thinking, well, should I take that chance? We've been talking to people like that, people who we think and represent, but who are saying, man, as much as I want to do this, I have to think of my family. I have to think of the fact that this government is very unforgiving when it comes to that. That is the reality. That's what we have to work in. So whilst we will, secondly, the thing I'd like to say, while we would very well much welcome to have all of the candidates on the ground now, the reality is we do not. It does not mean we should not talk to people. We have caretakers in place. We have, in some cases, we have candidates. Other places, we have caretakers. We use these individuals to go around on the ground. So at the end of the day, when the candidate is introduced, then it's something. I mean, the thing was made about Josh. Josh was independent. You have a few cases where you have people who are independent, okay, who do not depend on this government and who can take this chance. So the real chance is for people who have some kind of independence, but persons who are bound to the system and whose life depends on it and who has no alternative means, because quite frankly, the parties cannot offer them payment of their mortgage. We cannot do those things, So I just want to urge the public to be patient with that aspect of it in terms of getting candidates. We will eventually have candidates. Usually,
you're confident
we always get candidates. It's not for want of having candidates. Is a question of how quickly can you introduce them, and very often people like to wait just for the last moment for those reasons that we have talked about.
Joshua?
Well, first of all, let me say that the caller's concern is a legitimate concern. If you're in a constituency and you're being asked to reject this government, it is only natural to know what is the alternative. Who are you going to follow? So I would say, number one, in the opposition, we have a responsibility, though we may not have a candidate just yet, but to have a viable organization representing the party in the respective constituencies. So that is where constituency association comes in. We should have an organization consisting of a few persons responsible to comb the constituency, keep the constituency warm, keep the constituency apprised as to what's happening within our respective parties. As far as the leadership is concerned, true leaders have an element of fearlessness. I do understand the reality, and Dr. Fontaine is right. Politics of the 80s and the 90s to politics of today in Dominica is different. Politics now can be very harsh. Once someone decides that he or she is entering the political arena, he or she must be prepared to pay a price. Do not think that because I'm independent, I'm a solicitor, that I don't have a price to pay. I have paid prices and I continue to pay prices. Mr. Ronald Charles is an example. Just last week, I said, Ronald, there are a lot of Dominicans who do not appreciate or may not appreciate the sacrifice that you have made thus far. You left law school in 2011. You entered politics in 2013. You did not give yourself a chance to develop your practice. You spent a lot of time in politics, time that could have been spent developing yourself as an attorney. That is sacrifice. The reality is, as attorneys, we may appear to be independent, but nobody is truly independent in an economic space because you depend on a clientele to earn a living. And some people may not wish to enter a lawyer's office simply because he or she is perceived to be on the other side. So there are persons who may want to come to my office or go to Mr. Charles's office, and they may say, I'm not going there. These guys are members of the opposition. So that's a form of victimization, and that's a price. But leaders must be prepared to pay a price. Nowhere in history, leaders did not pay prices, especially in a situation where you have a government that is entrenched. So I'm saying to those who wish to be political leaders, those who wish to be candidates, especially those who are not in the public service, that they should present themselves. We cannot do it on our own.
Well, you'd understand those public officers who want to and can't at this
Well, legally, a public officer ought not to participate into politics openly, although there has been flagrant falls by certain public officers who support the government. Everybody's seeing them. Everybody knows them, but nothing has been done about it. So if it is happening on the other side, Not that I'm encouraging those public servants who may wish to be candidates for the opposition to do the same, but to me, they shouldn't be so fearful. At least they could be on the ground, inform their constituents that they have interest, and start warming up the place. They could secretly go around and talk to people. I mean, the word will go around. But as the caller said, what is there to lose? Matt, we are at a point in Dominica where we need more Hillary Schillingfords. We need more Joshua Francis, more Dr. Fontaine, more Bernard Itos. Those select few who have decided to take up that mantle to stand for Dominica must get the support. We cannot do it on our own. Even the supporters of the opposition parties must understand that whilst we are being asked to be on the ground, they too can be on the ground. And that is why I always take the opportunity to say that an opposition supporter could take a responsibility to try to win at least one Labourite per month. Think about it. If one supporter of the opposition wins one Labourite per month, that is 12 Labourites who are converted in a year. Possibly, there may be 1 to 2 more years before next general election. Imagine if a number of our supporters win Labourites, what's going to happen? So I'm just saying this is a collective effort. All hands must be on deck, and there's urgency. This is not a situation where we have time.
Don't depend just on the leaders. You can do it yourself.
Correct.
That's important.
Well, the leaders are responsible to inspire and to lead. A real leader has to inspire and to lead, and that's what we're attempting to do. But we cannot get the job done on our own. Nowhere in any fight you see a leader with an army leaves his army behind and goes forward to take care of the enemies. The followers must be there. The soldiers must be there. So the point that there must be candidates, I do agree. And I'm saying, even in the absence of caretakers and candidates, we are responsible to set up constituency associations or small groups in the respective communities to go out there and keep the constituents warm and to make them know what is happening.
Let me hear Bernard's response to this.
Well, I think my two colleagues covered it quite well. There's not too much I can add to that. I agree, obviously, that we have to be on the ground. People have to be on the ground. We have to build a machinery in every constituency. That's just politics 101. There's some basic things that are necessary to do that. But I think in Dominica, being such a small community, we actually have some advantages. There are other ways to get to people now, especially online, and to get the presence there. Because, of course, the physical presence is very important, but we have to be innovative and creative, because we will always be short-staffed and short-resourced as an opposition. And a lot of the things about victimizations and showing your face is real. We cannot simply say, well, it shouldn't be so, because it is so. So therefore, I think our response as more has to be now, how do we get innovative and creative to work around those shortcomings? And I think one of the things that we need to do, and actually the current Prime Minister does that well, is to create a sense of mission, a sense of self that transcends candidate. Our politics in Dominica is still too personalistic, still too individualistic. We need to become more of a policy-driven politics. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. You don't change the culture of a country overnight. But I think we have to start as an opposition also making that part of our mission, to transform Dominica from a retail politics, look at rum, look at $20, and have a conversation, let's drink a beer, to a policy-driven conversation about what party can advance your cause, your missions, what is important to you, your vision, your mission, and so forth, so that you can create policy platforms that people can relate to, rather than relating directly to an individual in the constituency, which is very important. You can't get away from that aspect of it. But I think you have to complement that and shift the dynamic a little bit away from all personality to a lot more policy. And I think we can do that by doing demonstration projects, by doing demo things, by doing some of the more national level things that shows people, this people as a group has a vision that appeals to me. And it doesn't matter necessarily, I mean, it does matter to some extent, but it's not the most important thing for me who that person is in that constituency. What matters most to me is that I share the vision of this group of people for transforming my country. And I think that is what we need to do.
Let's take a phone call. Sorry about that, 449. Somebody's on the line there. Sorry for the wait. 449-3095, 96 and 97. Feel free, as I said, to call. We want this program to be very, very interactive. So stick around, Dominica. There's more coming up.
AutoTrade is introducing our very own mobile app. Yes, the AutoTrade app is here. From scheduling your service appointments, request financing, checking our vehicle and parts inventory, to receiving personalized coupons and sales specials. Life is so much easier with the new AutoTrade app. Download the AutoTrade app from the Play Store or App Store today. Call us at 255-6800. AutoTrade, it's more than a vehicle, it's a relationship. Big news, Dominica! Do It Center is now even closer to you with the opening of Do It Center Express, conveniently located on Cork Street, right next to Fresh Market. Get all your home improvement essentials fast with everything from tools and paints to home decor and more. Plus, enjoy the same great service you know and trust. Now, just a quick stop in the city. Visit us today at Do It Center Express, your partner in home improvement, now closer than ever.
Yes, but if they could, they would say something like this. I like Linus Plateau. They must tell my daughter, my family brought me to Linus after I died. And the way Linus took care of my body with respect and dignity, my jamais avec la West Linus Funeral Home, 30 years of experience, professional, reliable and compassionate service. We've had 24-hour emergency service. So long, monumo, pakite anye batu diwa. Kia 449-1800, 275-7564, 449-2100, or the emergency number 277-1800. That time is for you to breathe and grieve. Linus is not willing that any should die, but Bobot, Zandra, you must go. So when you go with the best chaperone. Linus Funeral Home. Mama Tutu family, si c'est pas Linus, il a venu à l'été.
Our numbers are 449-1800, 449-2100, 275-7564, and 276-0400. Call.
All right, let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes? Caller?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Petty.
Morning to you.
And your gentlemen out there. I've been living for a long time, and every time I hear the people are afraid. People are afraid because sometimes our trust is not. I said to, fear the one. Fear not the one who can kill you, but fear the one who can kill you and cast you into hell. You cannot live all your years living in fear. God has given boldness. So what I believe to myself, I'm saying, I already have 5 million children. She's hungry, and she doesn't have nothing. Why? And there was someone who would come and offer them some money. They would go for the money. You understand? But what I'm saying there, if they go for the money, the trouble is that you take some, you invest it, you try to create, even though it's Accra you want to make, or if it's tablet you make, and try to improve yourself, and then you'll be able to stand. But if every day we say, they're afraid. When people come from Egypt, they put one mind, they have one mind, everybody comes to the put one mind, and they decided to go. What people need today is freedom. People need freedom from all fear, freedom from all these things that happen in there. And when people start to make up their mind and put their trust in God, it is not man that is giving deliverance, it is God. So that business of they're afraid. We must stop that kind of thing there. And read the Bible a little for you guys. Ask God for boldness. Thank you very much. God bless you.
God bless you too. 449-3095. A quick stop. We'll come back. Of course, in the past few weeks, Dr. Fontaine, Joshua, and Mr. Ito, we've been talking the confirmation process. What is the status on the ground? I know you had some concerns when you met as a team last week.
Yes, Matt, these concerns still exist. We have several of them, but I'll give a couple and then open it up, of course, to Josh and to Bernard. One of the main concerns we have is that the confirmation process in its current form will ensure that a good number of voters will not be able to confirm.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that, the government is now requesting the use of either a passport, a driver's license, or a social security card.
Okay.
a large number of Dominicans do not possess any of these forms of IDs. Initially, the electoral office had recommended the use of birth certificates along with an affidavit of from a justice of the peace, and for some unexplained reason, they decided to remove that. We are calling on the electoral office to reinstate immediately the use of the birth certificate, because that's the only way we are going to ensure that the thousands, potentially thousands of Dominicans who will not be able to confirm are able to confirm. That is one. And the second one, the issue that we're having is the whole question of the registration. The Article 17.1 of the Registration of Electors Act calls for continuous registration in the sense that you have to everybody who's turned 18 should be given the opportunity to register as a new voter. The electoral office has stopped the registration of new voters. We are saying that this is illegal, and we're calling on the electoral office to immediately reinstate registration.
Joshua?
Yeah, basically, my thoughts are on the same platform with Dr. Fontaine. We continue to ask the Electoral Commission to reinstate the use of a birth certificate with a photo ID and an affidavit to facilitate confirmation of voters who do not have a national ID, inclusive of a passport, a valid passport, that is, a valid driver's license, or a social security card. This is of a major concern because apparently there are still a number of Dominicans absent of one of these IDs. And should they fail to get one of these IDs during the confirmation period, it means that their names will be removed off the voters list. And of course, the opportunity will present itself for them to re-register. But even then, they need an ID. So it's something that the electoral office really has to consider. As I said last week, we have to contextualize the use of what is being asked by the electoral office. Dominica still has a number of what we call income poor people, indigent people, people who never traveled, people not interested in traveling, they have never gotten a passport, people who never worked for another, they have never gotten a social security card, and of course, they have never driven, particularly the elderly. The persons who do not have an ID, Matt, are the vulnerable people. These are the weaker people amongst us. These are people we are supposed to be protecting, not abusing, not denying them of a basic right to confirm. After all, there's nothing to lose by allowing a birth certificate to be used. The Electoral Commission office argument is that they are requesting a national valid ID to raise the standard, to be in compliance or in conformity to international best practice. Using a birth certificate is not negating standard or international best practice.
Well, that's what the chairperson said. You have to move up to a standard and remain in the birth certificate.
Yeah, but that argument is a weak argument. And I really think that the electoral office, the electoral commission needs to sit down and ruminate that point and make a change. We need to make a change because there are people who want to confirm to vote, but they do not have an ID. But having said that, Matt, we also have a responsibility in the opposition to also go on the ground and find out who are the people who do not have a national ID and to see where we can assist them.
But I'm hearing too, and somebody calling yesterday very pissed off, saying that you guys don't seem militant enough as it relates to, making sure that this thing happens. So let's listen for a minute.
The systems are not in place.
So why you think they're not ready? Why you think they're not ready?
Because they're reactionaries. They're not proactive. They should be out there doing the things they want to be doing, knocking on doors and making sure everyone, especially when it comes to confirmation. How on earth can they not by now go out in every village, in every nook and cranny, and make sure that everybody who was born in Dominica, whether or not they have a passport or not, have the credentials so that they can get confirmation? How many Dominicans have passports and have driver's license? But by George, they all have a birth certificate, and somebody can confirm that. It's a lot of horse manure.
But it's basically saying the law right now as we speak, you cannot use your birth certificate to confirm. You cannot.
But that is nonsense. What else can they not do? Why is not? Why they are allowing that? I understand they had some SRO that went through.
Mm-hmm.
That's Muslim on your part. Matt. Every Dominican who was born there has to have had a birth certificate. And there's nothing more legitimate than a birth certificate. They can use it to obtain whatever other documents the government wants to present.
But I'm telling you now, that based on the SRO, that they actually passed a law that says you cannot use your birth certificate anymore. That's the point. You cannot.
But that is, excuse my language, this is bullshit. Excuse my language. How can you pass a law when you know that the Dominicans cannot satisfy that? How many Dominicans have a passport? How many of them own a driver's license? But by George, they all can present a damn birth certificate. It picked me off when I heard this damn thing. And some, we're treating that very lightly. The opposition cannot treat that lightly. The confirmation, that is what we have done all our lives.
So you say that you're basically saying they should do all in their powers to make sure that birth certificate should be used.
This is what should be doing. This guy should be making sure that every Dominican can vote, and the way they go and make sure that they have the basic document in hand. The basic document in hand is the birth certificate. It gives you the right to obtain additional documents the government may so wish to issue. It is horse manure. How can people like Boston and these guys stand around and allow that to go for SRO? There should be all kind of demonstrations in the damn streets of Roseville around the country. It's nonsense. And I further understand that the government has gone about the place and now issuing passport paid to them, to the people together. So they actually virtually paying these people to get their passport done.
But they're the ones you would agree to who has the money, the l'argent, so they can afford that.
Yes, but their job is to make sure that the voting is seamless. There is no difficulty in making sure that every Dominican has a right to vote. And it is the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance to ensure that they use the basic legitimate form of documentation, a birth certificate.
Mr. Corbett, are you coming back in the ring? Are you coming back in the ring?
I have to. I'm going to get a retirement and come back home. This is nonsense. This is nonsense.
All right, I'll tell you what. This guy seems very upset, and Mr. Julius Corbett, no stranger to politics. Of course, he was in this new party. What's the name of the party again? APP, and he stepped down. But he's saying that you guys are not militant enough to make sure that this birth certificate is in place. How do you respond to that?
I hope his anger is directed at the electoral office. I mean, the last 2 times I demonstrated in Dominica, I got arrested. So, it's not the question.
Is there fear now?
No, absolutely not. I'm not saying that to say that I'm fearful. I'm saying that to say it does not mean if you demonstrate that you're going to get the results. What we want to get is the results of the birth certificate be reintroduced. Demonstration is one means, but it's not a guarantee that if you demonstrate, you're going to get it. We demonstrated against the passage of the electoral laws. It still passed, So people tend to think that once you demonstrate, you're going to get what you want. That's not necessarily the case. What we're doing now is that we're applying pressure on the electoral office. That is a simple fix for the electoral office. They have disenfranchised thousands of Dominican voters. We're saying you need to fix this. We're giving them a chance to do it. And we believe that they will, because they understand that they made a big mistake, and we're hoping that they correct it.
Let's take a phone call. We'll come back to you, Joshua and Bernard. Hello, yes?
Yes, good morning, Matt. Good morning to Mr. Fontaine and whoever else is there.
Bernard.
Matt,
yes.
I am feeling it also, Matt. The lack of representation. I live in Roseau North, and I know that the default, and I refer to her as default parliamentarian because nobody opposed her, is disabled. I'll use that word, disabled. But I do not see the representative of the United Workers' Party or any other party coming banging on my door either. And I feel like I'm in a void. And if I was younger, I would probably have the urge to jump into the ring also myself. But, you know, I am refraining from doing that. But I'm just pointing out that there is a void of political activity, Matt. Thank you.
But as they indicated, some of the leaders say, you too, as a voter, you can of course do some work on the ground yourself. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes.
Yes, Matt. Again, good morning, Matt.
Yes.
I would like to say to Mr. Corbett that he cannot stay where he is and say that the people who aspire to go up for elections are not on the ground. He cannot say that. But he made a very pertinent point, Matt, that everybody who was born in Dominica has a birth paper or can get a birth paper, right? And the chairman of the Electoral Commission came on the radio and spoke some horse manure talking about they trying to prevent fraud, and that's why they take that out. This is nonsense. Everybody can get a birth paper, and you're removing that. So I'm calling on Duncan Stowe. You know me very well, Kendall Richards. We're raising the same area in Goodwill. We need that for that birth paper thing to be reinstated so that everybody who do not have a passport or does not have a driver's license, all right, or social security, can go and get a birth paper, because you all are now doing the opposite of what you all want to do. So you're disenfranchising people for them not to be able to vote. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to prevent a lot of people from not voting. Okay? So try and put that back where it was. Thank you.
All right, Joshua. Are you guys doing enough? This is the call I'm hearing. Are you guys doing enough to ensure that this takes place? You know, the birth paper is reinstated.
Well, Matt, there are limitations to what we can do.
You can go to the court.
I don't think that we have a legal leg to go to the court right now. Of course, there are considerations for injunctions, but for an injunction, you must have a ground. You must have a cause of action. Are you going to initiate a constitutional motion? Now, of course, this is my opinion, but I'm sure other lawyers have looked into it, and there are those who are probably still looking into it. And if there is a viable ground on which the matter can be taken to court, then fine. But at this point, based on my assessments of the situation, it is for the Electoral Commission to come together and to do what is best for Dominica. We know who are the commissioners. We know very well that Mr. Hilary Shillingford and Mr. Wayne James are in favor of the use of the birth certificate. The three others are not. The majority rules, one of the gentlemen, the chairman of the commission, was appointed by the president for her own discretion, and the two others were appointed by the president after being advised by the Prime Minister of Dominica. It appears the three, apart from Mr. James and Mr. Shillingford, are in cohort to do what they think is in the best interest possibly of the master. It is clear that if a decision was taken in the best interest of Dominica, we would be able to use a birth certificate, because the argument about trying to minimize fraud really doesn't cut it. It's an unreasonable argument, and it's only creating hardship for the people of Dominica to participate in the electoral process. But equally, we as opposition politicians also have a responsibility. We have to go on the ground. We have to comb our respective constituencies, find out who are the people without a national ID. Once we have the numbers, then we can go ahead to see how we can assist them. So I do not just want to put the responsibility on the Electoral Commission. We must continue to push the pedal. We must continue to move forward. We must continue to press on the Electoral Commission to do what is best for the people of Dominica. But equally, in a parallel sense, we in the opposition, we also have a responsibility to go out there, identify the people who need the help, and take the necessary steps to ensure that our people confirm. Because what we do not want is an election to be called in the future, and some of the persons supporting the opposition party would not have been confirmed or registered to vote, hence missing the opportunity to remove this government.
Renat?
Yeah, I think, again, we've covered a lot of the same ground, and I think we all aligned on that. The government's argument is paper thin. They want best practice, but what does best practice really mean? In their opinion, it simply means, it appears, look over the ocean and see what they're doing in the United States of America, or look over in England and see what they're doing there, or look over in some advanced society and see what they're doing there and say, "Ah, that's international best practices. We will adopt that." But that is not sufficient. Best practice really means to do what is the best thing and for your community in the situation that it finds itself. So the best practice needs to be, how do I ensure that as many Dominicans as possible get confirmed and get back on the list? That is what best practice should be. It should be the objective. And so what is the best practice to lead to that objective? Best practice to lead to that objective in the Dominican context is not requiring that every citizen who wants to be back on that list needs to provide some high level identity. That is simply not best practice. So I think we have to vigorously argue against this best practice language and blow that out of the water. It is not at all best practice. It is not even at all best practice in terms of administrative procedure, because there's a concept called administrative continuity, which means that you do not make it more difficult to get information confirmed, verified, validated. That is more difficult than what it took to get the information into the state system in the first place. So from an administrative continuity point of view, it is not best practice. It is not best practice for our context. It's not best practice for administrative procedures. It is simply not best practice at all. So one has to wonder then, what is it all about? If it's not best practice, then what is it?
Let me take a phone call. Are you there, caller?
Yes, Matt.
Yes.
There's an issue that bothers me about the address of the voter. You know, to me it is critical, but to me it seems to be overlooked, because when you get that birth certificate, it doesn't really have your current address. When you get your driver's license, you could have very well have moved to another constituency. And it seems like there's a lapse in that whole adjustment of where people live. It seems like it doesn't matter. And that bothers me a bit. I would like to hear the opinion of the people as your guest, Matt, if they believe that it is very critical to verify the address of a voter. Thank you.
Before you take that question, let's take a few phone calls. Take a note there. Hello, yes? Caller. Nobody there. Let's take another call. Are you there?
Hi, Matt. Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning to you, my brother. How are you doing?
Good. All right. Good morning to your panel as well.
Okay.
Matt, we need to get serious. This electoral commission is not going to do anything that would go against the incumbent Labour Party. We cannot sit back and say that we applying pressure to them so that they could do the right thing. These people have never in one instance shown us where it is they take on their own to do any right thing. So we cannot sit back and relax and say that how are we applying pressure on them? By coming on the radio and talking about it? As it is right now, Matt, what we need to do is we need to injunct this thing and file an injunction in the courts and take the thing to the court. That's how we put pressure on these people. These people are going to delay and delay and delay and delay, and nothing is going to be done. The only way we have to take this thing to the court like yesterday and have the people do the right thing. Registration should be an ongoing process, and right now there is no registration ongoing. So it means that there are people who are disenfranchised already. So we cannot talk about we are applying pressure to them, and we waiting on what? Let us and we send in mixed signals to the people. We're telling the people go to confirm, but then we're talking about so many irregularities going on. Let us take it to the courts, and whatever the court decide, then if it means we have to get people to confirm after, then we do that. But it cannot be mad that we're just sitting and waiting, and we're talking about we're waiting on them to do the right thing. They're not going to do the right thing because they had the right thing in legislation and they take it off. So it means that they have a plan. So they're not going to reinstate it, man. They have to be forced to do it. If it is we have to raise funds to go to the court, let's do that. But we cannot sit back and talk about we waited on them to do the right thing. Thank you, Matt.
So somebody is suggesting there's not enough pushback from the opposition. Not enough pushback. I mean, we just sit down, we talk. And
Yeah,
nothing,
no.
nothing happens.
I don't think that is a correct interpretation of our actions. The caller, I wish it was as easy as that. You just go to court and get your results. It does not work that way. You know, the fact of the matter is the legislation empowered the electoral office to make the regulations as far as what is required. So legally, you have a struggle because the electoral office has the right to set the regulations. Okay. Now, is there a way you can go to the court and tell the court to force them to change their mind? That is what the lawyers are looking at. But you just heard from the lawyer. We have been talking to our own lawyer. It is not as straightforward as it appears. I mean, obviously, if an injunction would solve this, would be in the court yesterday. But from the very beginning, that was one of the options we have been looking at. So I want to assure our listeners that we're looking at every option. Pressure on them to do the right thing legally as well. Okay. But at the end of the day, if you're going to go to the court, you want to have the best option of success. It does not make sense wasting resources and you still not get the result that you need. And that's why we need the legal basis, the legal background. So that may take a little time. So we just want to encourage people to be patient with us. And Matt, just very quickly on the earlier question about the verification of the address, there is no real need for it because under our new laws, it does not really matter. So I could be living in Roseau and I'm voting in Grand Forks. It does not really matter what my current address is because they have removed the whole residency criterion in the new legislation. So the current address is irrelevant in the whole process. Right?
Somebody says, again, the horse has already left the stable now. It's time for civil unrest. Tell Joshua it's nonsense he's talking. Joshua, how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, Matt.
Do you support civil unrest?
Matt, let's go back to March 19th.
Right.
There were a number of persons who showed up, including Dr. Fontaine. He was arrested, and now he has a charge against him. It's like a noose around his neck.
That could send me to jail for 6 years.
Something that could send him to jail for 6 years. This is a man who led, not by words, but by action. And there are over 20 other Dominicans who are before the court for demonstrating. Now, those men stood up, and they stood up for re-registration. We must go back to history. Whilst they were demonstrating, certain persons voted in favor of the passage of the electoral bills, now laws, to cause confirmation. So I want all of us to remember that. So not that the efforts have not been made. The efforts were made and came at a price. And I want Dominicans to understand that the price that is being paid, when you have an indictable matter before the court, it means it is a very serious matter, a matter that could land you in jail, a matter which forbids you from traveling, because as we speak, the gentlemen are on bail. So to make those calls and to make those comments is callous. It's a disrespect to the demonstrators. These are men who stood up. In the eyes of some of us, they are heroes. So instead, we support them. Do not make it appear that efforts are not being made. People are not being militant. People are not standing up. People have stood up and people continue to stand up. But we have limitations. Some people are staying behind their phones and saying, do this, do that. And as has been done, when we call for the people to show up, they do not show up. Sometimes simple things like contributing $1 to buy a bottle of water to give demonstrators, they don't show up. There are people who wish they could be on the ground, but they can't, but they assist financially. Some people pray, that's all they have. But to just call the radio and callously make remarks against leaders, and I do have an issue with that, Matt. Because those of us who stand on the front line, as I said earlier, we do it at a price. And I'm not saying people are not at liberty to call and make their comments, but think before you speak. And on the issue of injunction, Matt, and Dr. Fontaine said it right, he sounded like an attorney. You do not just take a matter before the court. If you think that we should pass an injunction, and I'm sure I just asked Dr. Fontaine whether he consulted with the party's lawyer and his lawyers, and he said yes, and I would have expected that because Dr. Fontaine is a responsible leader. He has been hearing the people, he has been listening to their cry, take this matter before the court. And like me, his lawyers have looked into the matter, and it's not so straightforward. There is a parent law, and the parent law is the Registration of Electors Act.
Mhm.
And that law allows the Electoral Commission to make regulations as to what are the requirements to confirm to vote.
Mhm.
And by SRO 39, the Electoral Commission made a 360 turn, whereby they moved away from the use of birth certificates to a valid national ID. The question is, do we have a case? And if we go to court, what are our chances of success? Because nobody just goes to court. Court takes time and money. And when one loses a civil matter or constitutional matter, it comes at a cost. So it would be irresponsible as a leader of any political party to simply take a matter to court, not knowing what are the chances of success. You do not want to go to court with a frivolous action. You would be wasting the court's time, wasting your money, and wasting the resources of the party. The point is that, in as much as people are calling for injunction, do we have a cause of action? On what ground are we going to ask for an injunction? Well, the natural result, the natural thinking is that we will take a constitutional motion. But we have to show the court how that legislation or how those regulations are in violation of the Constitution of Dominica. Is it discrimination? So those are the questions we have to ask. Because keep in mind, the highest court of the land is the House of Parliament. And the court is responsible to interpret the laws enacted by the House of Parliament. So if we can show the court that those regulations are inconsistent with the Constitution of Dominica, then we stand a chance. But thus far, we have not been able to see how we would persuade the court, at least from where I stand, and I'm speaking for myself as an attorney. Maybe Thompson's attorneys or his party's attorney or Bernard attorneys may have a different opinion. But for me, Joshua Francis, at this point in time, this is not what I would target. There are other ways which we're employing, like what we're doing right now. Ultimately, what we want is for people to confirm. So as I said, whilst you're putting pressure on the Electoral Commission or we are asking verbally or otherwise, we have to go out there, find out who are the people in need of an ID to confirm, and we do what we have to do.
So, are you there, caller? Caller, are you there? I suspect we're having some problems with the international line there. Let's check another call. Are you there, caller? Yes?
Yes, Matt, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Pomitin. Good morning to Joshua, and also me too. I want to also, I believe in the whole question of the support on the ground, to make sure we go on the ground. Everybody's saying let's go on the ground. I agree with that. But how do we go on the ground? How are we going on the ground? Yes, on the ground. I mean, our leaders alone can't go on the ground. I think we should be looking at organizing a team of people or cadre. In fact, I tell you, when Rosie Douglas came off at the beginning, we had this thing where we organized the several classes, and we had the cadre. People should be trained. How am I going to just go on the ground? I don't know what I have to say or what you have to do. So I think there's need for them, and we have so much problems against the party. The media, one media we have. Where the other people? No other media to keep going through. Right? That's an impediment. We also have a situation where I hear this about fear. That fear business people talking about, everybody talking about fear. Talk about fear is mine. If we want to go out, we should be identifying our people already, some people around. If you see this, the people who want to leave, at least come in between, be around the people and talk with the people and be identified. Because before, what used to happen before, when you create somebody to run for your office, he should have a history of work, about it's called history if you want him, about some history of the people. They have worked with the people. Not just pick up anybody and say it's wrong. So I mean that's why we should be able to identify somebody and go through the process. The party groups must be organized, I agree, but it must be monitored. Party groups just there, we have a party group. And we don't have anybody at least now and then every 2 months looking and see what they're doing, checking out and so on. I can remember through the past party organized Matt Hill. I used to go around the world, around there and go to the different party groups and organize. So we should be having a situation where we have, a proper monitoring party group. Not a question of just saying on the ground, and just going in the air. Training is one for our people to know what people to say, what you can say. And I hope, and the other thing is that I don't know if you're assuming that Q95 alone can just give us the information and so on. Or people know already, so they have things bad, so they'll vote for us. No, we have to make them see their eye that things are bad. Like they say, no, we know, all of us do have. But they have to see their own eyes that things are bad. And we must go out there and make them understand. It's not a question of you assume, yes, so bad and so on. We want to show them the truth about the entire thing. So I agree on some of the ground is all right. But you need training, some type of training to go through the vocabulary.
All right, caller. Thank you very much. Somebody else is saying the opposition needs to stop the talk and get to work. In the meantime, they should consider organizing groups to confirm who needs help in the registration process. That's what somebody else said.
Let me say a couple of things on that, man.
Yes.
So, absolutely, we have to be out there organizing and doing what we have to do. I think all of us said that. We have to do the machinery to be able to do that. I fully believe that. I think that's the next steps. We have to be out there getting the information, the intelligence on what the situation really is in every constituency, right? We should know our voter base and we should have a good understanding. And we should get volunteers motivated behind this. But that brings us to the question. I think in Dominica, too often, we tend to outsource our citizenships to the leaders. We tend to think that if we tell them what to do and if we make some noise about it, we express an opinion, then we've done our civic duty, we can sit back and relax and things will happen. But that simply is not the way it does. So I think all of the citizens of this country who are outraged about the situation, first of all, we need to let them know what's going on, and that's part of what we're doing, so that they become outraged, and then they do their part as well along with us. Everyone should be writing to their constituency representative. Everyone should be asking their ministers of government. Everyone should be outraged about this and put the pressure of public opinion to bear upon the commission and frankly, the government. So all of us need to get together and do something. If you're not doing something and you're concerned about this and you're outraged about this, ask yourself, what am I doing? We all must do something. Because if we all collectively do something, there are tens of thousands of us, scores of thousands of us, we can absolutely bring public pressure to bear on this government to bring about the change that we want. So please, I am appealing to all the citizens, all the people who call in here, all the people who advise us, and we take the advice, to help us to become engaged and to not outsource your citizenship to us. You need to be as bold, as militant, as pushing, as walking, as hitting the ground, and all the things that we're talking about. Do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean going and demonstrate or so on. But you think for 10 minutes and you can think of 4 or 5 things you can do as a citizen to bring pressure to bear on this situation.
All right, let me just make a point there before you continue. Somebody saying, wasn't Malcolm X arrested? Martin Luther King was arrested. All these freedom fighters were arrested, intimidated, harassed. Did they stop them from doing what they had to do? So these men in the studios, why are you guys afraid?
Matt, I think this is...
No one is afraid. They have been arrested.
Prison was not made for animals.
Oh, boy. But, oh, boy.
They have been arrested, right? And they have been intimidated and they have been slipping in jail. But that is not the thing. What is what I just said? Well, join us in the jail then. We can't outsource your citizenship to a few men. It will not work. You need to be saying, well, when last did I slip in the cell along with them, right? So all of us have to do our part in order to build this momentum. Now, I will disagree a little bit with my colleagues here in terms of the legal approach. I believe there is a path to an injunction, because what we have to show, and Josh, you were right, it's a constitutional matter. It's not a matter of whether or not the commission has the right to do that. They clearly do by law. But the question is, are the regulations they enact constitutional? Do they represent a diminishing of the rights and freedoms of the individual citizens? Do they diminish the constitutional guarantee that your vote shall count and you shall not have undue impediments placed before you to vote? It's a civil rights issue. And so I think we have to think seriously about the injunction, and I'm advising my party and my party legal team to seriously look into filing an injunction, because it gives us some leverage, it gives us some momentum. And I know we might think, what are the odds of winning? It may be better than we think. In any event, I think we have to use every technique
every
that
option.
have the option and put it on the table. And if we need to file an injunction, we take it to the courts, because I believe there is a real constitutional issue here about, and as I said, administrative procedure. Why are the requirements now more than it took to get on the list? We have some grounds, I think, to pursue the option.
All right, let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead quickly.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Morning.
Very interesting program. I see that my party leader and Joshua mentioned the issue of discrimination as it relates to putting our people at a disadvantage by requiring a passport or driver's license. Now, we in a democracy, and it's understood that one man, one vote, and you exist to vote to protect that democracy. It's a fundamental right. The Constitution might not say so, but I think in every country, democratic country, that you're born in, you have that right to register and vote. Once you can show that you live in the constituency where you register. Now, in addition to violating certain people's fundamental rights or their freedom to vote for their country in a democracy, there's the issue of treating. It is my understanding that the government is providing passports to individuals. As a matter of fact, one parent contacted me that his son was 17 and the padre called and asked him to come to pick up his passport so he could be confirmed. So they're looking at people who are going to turn 17, not realizing that he was a minor and they have legal recourse to them. So in relation to the Constitution, there's an issue in addition to treating, buying passports for people to vote for you. And this is a serious matter because I understand that they even address the matter with, it's alleged that a minor, 17 years, had to pick up a passport from the parent because he needed his passport, okay, for him to confirm. This is a serious matter. But the issue of if their supporters are getting it free, if they pay for it, it's treating. If they take it from government funds and give it to them and don't pay government, that's another serious matter. And this matter must be looked into very seriously. Very good program. I want the comments on that.
All right, thank you, Michael. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back, Dominique. We only have about 45 minutes. Time moving so quickly, but very interesting program. Gonna come back.
We are the best prices in town. The price that's our cost. Yeah, it's back. Cuts for Friday. I tell you how we pass traffic on the highway. You know we got unbeatable prices. Furniture, electronics, and appliances. Are you coming? Weekly prices. And best deals of this season. Shop and quick to it. And when you forget till next year, January. Crocodile come down to go. What's already low? What's already low? Price now. What's already low?
Loyalty pays back. That's why we're rewarding our customers with $400 in vouchers. That's like 5 months of your mobile bill back in your pocket. Simply add mobile to your current home internet plan and claim your $400 in rewards today. Loyalty pays back. That's how we keep your rhythm flowing.
Auto Trade introduces our newest line of lubricants, Valvoline, America's first branded motor oil. Valvoline has been formulating and improving motor oil longer than any other brand. From the world's first racing oil to the world's first synthetic blend, Valvoline has been trusted in engines around the world for over 150 years. Make the switch today. Choose Valvoline, the original motor oil. At Auto Trade, we only recommend the best in quality because at Auto Trade, it's more than a vehicle. It's a relationship. Valvoline lubricants, now distributed by Auto Trade.
Ever wondered what's in your milk? These are the following benefits of Distinction milk. It's a great source of calcium and protein, vitamin A and C added. It's definitely not the filled milk like some of the other brands. Distinction milk texture and taste is great for shakes, baking, pouring cream, and is side for mashed potatoes and much more. Even better, because of its rich texture, Distinction evaporated milk can be stretched. Isn't it great to know what's in your milk? Distinction milk, distributed by Pine Foods Inc.
It's officially white potato season in Dominica. To celebrate, Bloombox is giving you the chance to win a 196cc 4-stroke 6.5 horsepower tiller valued at over $3,000. Wow! You heard right. Simply make a purchase of $75 or more between October 13th and December 27th, 2025, and you'll be automatically entered for a chance to win this powerhouse machine to make your next planting season even easier. Winner will be announced on December 29th. Visit us at Bloombox Goodwill and Roseau. Terms and conditions apply. Let's bloom together with Bloombox.
Make this brand new. The finest love we have.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Sunrise Airways is connecting the OECS. Fly to and from Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Kitts, and Antigua with seamless onward connections. Enjoy competitive fares and the best in travel. Book now at sunriseairways.net or with your travel agent. Sunrise Airways, One Caribbean. We fly to connect people. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Sunrise Airways.
Looking for flavor that blasts your taste buds? Welcome to Blast Bistro, Dominica's rooftop gem, perched above the Dominican National Lottery office. Sink your teeth into our famous Blast Burger. Savor our wings with signature sauces and sip in style with handcrafted cocktails that are bold and refreshing. Whether it's a night out or a celebration, we've got the view, the food, and the fun. Open daily from 5 p.m. Contact us at 275-4041. Blast Bistro. Good food, good vibes.
Hardware and home improvement, millions of lines for you. Kitchen appliances, even home decor too. Lumber, lawn, all your garden supplies. Plumbing, welding, electrical supplies. Visit Do It Center at the former J. Nassif Hardware location on Goodwill Road. Call us at 255-6890. Do it Center.
Honey, did you get the glow spread and mellow cream?
A little help with the bags would be nice.
Shortly, but I need the glow spread to finish the icing for Christine's birthday cake and mellow cream to add to the soup and gravy.
No.
No?
No, I didn't get just one. I got two of each.
Aw, honey, that's just why I married you.
Spread the love with Mellow Cream and Glow Spread. They're vegan-friendly, lactose, and gluten-free. Found in all leading supermarkets nationwide.
Locally distributed by Fine Foods Inc.
You hear the news yet? I heard Digicel got a wicked bundle to set you up. Get home internet and postpaid for just $185 a month. That's fast connection, plenty data, and no worries. And guess what? When you sign up, you're getting a free smartphone just like that. So don't stick, run into a Digicel store or check out an agent now. Terms and conditions apply. Digicel, better together, better connected, always.
Tune in every morning for The Hot Seat on Q95. The latest happening events, breaking stories, and behind-the-scenes in-depth investigative reports. Stay on for more fair and balanced talk on The Hot Seat on Q95. The big station.
All right, Dominic, we continue in the morning. It's 10:21. Are you there, caller? Are you there? Yes?
Yes, good morning, Matt, and good morning to Dr. Fontaine, Joshua Francis, and Mr. Ito.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I want to commend you all first for your collaboration in this education process. I think it is very good for Dominica, and I want to commend all of you, all three of you, for doing that, number one. The second thing is that I want to agree with Bernard that, and maybe Josh, you as an attorney need to probably look at that aspect. I don't know if you have. I think there's a constitutional issue, in my view, in two legs, and at least from one of the attorneys that I spoke with. One of them is the inconsistency. At the end of the day, the registration of electors list, whether you confirm or you register, is what both the confirmed person or the registered person seeks to go on. The SRNO makes a distinction between the registration process and the confirmation process, requiring a very onerous documentation for the average Dominican who would have already been on the list, who would have already voted, probably using their birth certificates when they first got on the list. So I think the SRO puts an extra burden for these people who have been voting to confirm. Whereas if they were to register, that burden is slightly different. I really think if we check the Constitution, the citizen of the Commonwealth of Dominica, except he's in jail or a few exceptions like that, must be allowed vote utilizing the very minimal, if you like, qualifications to get on the list. So I think there's a constitutional matter there, from my humble perspective, right? And I think we should pursue it. The other thing is the spirit of fear. And I understand perfectly what all of you said, and there is a place for it. Thompson, I don't think many people want to sleep in the cell that you slept in, although I asked to be arrested to sleep there. I did. I asked the commission, if you want to come and arrest me, I want to sleep where Thompson Fountain and them slept. Unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity. And not very many people will want to do that. But the heretic point I'm making, right? We have to make our people know that only thing to fear is fear itself. So that we need to get 1,000 people who are fearless. We need to get 2,000 people who are fearless, who say, you know what, we need to fight for this. It's going to be costly, but we need to fight for this. And I agree with you, people's power is what will begin to change the incumbent's mind, right? People's power. And I really believe that we need to try to infuse and energize the people to beat the fear and stand up for the longevity of what should happen in Dominica. Matt, thank you very much.
$3,000. Wow! You heard right. Simply make a purchase of $75 or more between October 13th and December 27th, 2025, and you'll be automatically entered for a chance to win this powerhouse machine to make your next planting season even easier. Winner will be announced on December 29th. Visit us at Bloombox Goodwill and Roseau. Terms and conditions apply. Let's bloom together with Bloombox.
I can tell you the telephones are going crazy here. But we want to shift to a different subject. Of course, you can call and ask your own questions. I had a very interesting conversation there with the opposition leader in St. Lucia yesterday. And I asked him, many questions, but one of the questions I asked, given what seemed to be a trend in the Caribbean as it relates to elections, we've seen that elections will be called there in St. Lucia on December 1. The Liberal Party calling election there in St. Vincent on November 27th, Thursday. So I basically asked Mr. Chastney, is this a trend? Maybe Dominica may be next. This was his response. I just want your thoughts on that, Mr. Chastney.
I know that they work very closely together. We've seen they've been very aligned on foreign policy. And I know that they're very closely aligned politically. I don't know whether this is going to be now a continuing trend. I guess depending on the outcome of both the St. Vincent election, where the opposition is poised to win the election, and here in St. Lucia. I think a lot of persons may think that because the government won, with 13 seats previously, that it's going to be an uphill battle. But I can tell you, once you understand that 5 of the seats were within 900 votes in total, it tells you how close this election is.
You seem very confident that we're going forward.
Well, we have to be. The fact is that the evidence is there that this country has been mismanaged, that people are worse off today than they were 5 years ago, and most importantly, people in this country feel betrayed.
So people in this country, men in St. Lucia, feel betrayed. Do you share the same sentiments that you guys are confident moving forward? If the playing field was level, do you feel confident about winning an election if one is to be called? And do you think that Dominica might follow the same trend?
But there's no doubt in my mind that when elections are called in Dominica, we will have a new government in place. There's no question about it. And like St. Lucia, I did some research on the election results of the past few, going back to 2000. And the largest the government has won is by 900 votes, although the opposition only got 3 seats in the 2019 election, but the difference of the votes was just 965. Okay, in 2014, when myself and Josh contested in the elections, we lost by 285 votes. So, and Josh alone overturned over 1,000 votes. So, what that tells me is that this is winnable. And what we've seen is a lot of manipulation, a lot of voter importation, a lot of cocoa macaque. We have people confessing that they voted 3 times in the 2019 elections when they were brought from overseas, people voting on other people's names and so on. So we believe that once that is cleared away, that the majority of people here in Dominica will vote against this government. I have absolutely no question in my mind.
Do you think all these inconsistencies will be cleared away though?
It will, once we get a clean voters list, and that's the reason why the struggle is over the voters list. So you can see, if I were to just parachute into Dominica, not knowing what was going on, I would believe that the process underway is a Labour Party operation, because if you look at the confirmation centers staffed by Labour Party operatives, if you look at the fact that some of the villages that are very strong in the opposition, they have no confirmation centers, you would see that every effort is being made, it seems to me, to disenfranchise a significant portion of the opposition. So we hope, man, that at the end of the day, we get a cleaner voters list, and we'll continue to push. And let me just say that, and to all of those who believe that we are not concerned, we are looking at every single thing. The legal aspect is one part of it that we're looking at. In fact, the first time I heard Mr. Stowe on your program, the same night, before I even spoke to my colleagues in the party, I called a lawyer. Okay, that was my first action, having heard him, is to think of how can we challenge this legally. So that was what I was thinking. Okay, but since then, we've been getting different opinions, and the process is slow. We are prosecuting the government in court. It has cost us tens of thousands of dollars to injunct the government over the CBI program. So there is a cost involved, there's a process involved. So we want people to understand that, okay? And don't believe that we are not pursuing it. And don't believe for 1 minute that we fear arrest. We've been there. The fact of the matter is, Matt, what we want is success. We don't want to be arrested for no reason. We want, at the end of the day, if you're going to get arrested, you're going to put in jail, that it is for a good outcome. Okay, and that is why we have to use every single aspect and every single process to get what we want. And I hope that when we call on the people of Dominica, that they will step up.
Joshua, do you think that, as Mr. Shastney indicated there, that the people of Dominica have been betrayed?
In many ways, Matt, it's 25 years since we have been harbored with this government, and the government has failed in many areas. The economy of Dominica is stagnant. The young people, dreams are broken. The elderly are more vulnerable than they were in the 90s. The infrastructure has seen some improvement. We have realized the cricket stadium, which really has become a party stadium, it really didn't live up to its expectations. We have seen the construction of social housing, which of course is positive for the income vulnerable people, but the result has contributed to the departures of several banks, and something that I hope will reverse over the next years, that people will get licensed to do onshore banking here so that we can have more competition. We have seen Dominica become more reliant on imports, and that's really unfortunate. A country that is poised, a country that has been blessed with fertile soils and water to produce food for the region, be the food basket. We have had our predecessors, leaders, mentioning Dominica becoming the food basket for the region. That has not been realized. The opportunity still stands. Dominica has failed, or the leader of Dominica has failed to make Dominica a hub for financial services, offshore services. The private sector has not grown over the last 25 years. If anything, a number of small businesses have exited the market. We have seen a drop in export. We have seen some improvements in tourism, but nothing to the magnitude to take Dominica to the next level. Now that we have the construction of the international airport, the region, the peripheral area around the airport are not even enjoying the benefits of the construction of an international airport. What we have seen over the last 25 years is a government that has caused a lot of exports of our brains, education for export of our jobs. The government has found more comfort in getting foreigners to come and undertake projects which can be undertaken by locals. Just look at the arrangements the government has with the Chinese government, whereby the physical infrastructures here, as in the case of the international airport, a contract was given to one man who then hired the Chinese under the condition that the Chinese provide the labor, with a slim majority of Dominicans working at the airport. The same with the construction of the social housing. Who builds them? So when you have the outflow of our resources and limited inflow into a country, naturally the country is not going to develop the way it's supposed to. Hence, that's one of the reasons why the Dominicans are feeling betrayed. People like in St. Lucia are feeling they are worse off. Yes, we may have bigger houses, we may have more cars on the road, but we have less cash. We have less abilities to travel. We have less time for recreation. There are families in Dominica that have not taken a trip to St. Martin or St. Lucia in decades. They can't afford it. There are people in their 60s. They left the public service and they're still owing on their mortgages. There are people retirement funds, their pensions are going towards a mortgage. So when you have a country where people do not have cash, young people's dreams are broken, people do not see opportunities for social mobility, then clearly the people feel betrayed. Now, on the question of whether Dominicans are ready to create a change, I say yes. To form the next government, the opposition needs to win 11 constituencies. And though we have these distortions on the electoral list,
and you think it's quite possible?
I think it is very possible. I believe that if the opposition comes together and work under one umbrella, work in harmony, work as a team, it is possible to pull out 11 constituencies.
I'll follow up with that question there. But do you think, given the trend that we've seen, I'll come back to you, the trend in the region where we've seen Labour Party, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, calling election, do you think there's a possibility, given the trend, that Mr. Skerritt might call an election?
Well, the Prime Minister is flanked by many advisors. Some of them we may consider to be wise men, because thus far they have gotten it right. He would not take a decision on his own unless if his advisors were to say, this is the time. For example, in 2022.
But would you be surprised?
I would not be surprised. It's about chess game. It's about opportunity. If the Prime Minister thinks that it is best to call an election early next year or later next year, as opposed to let it linger, in fear that if it lingers, the economy will not improve, more Dominicans will be discouraged, there'll be more anxiety, there'll be more discouragement on the island, and the chances of losing is greater. It's all about the numbers, Matt. And it's all about expectations.
That means you'll have to go back to the old list.
Well, yes, if an election were to be called within the next 12 to 15 months, we would have to go back to the old list. But we must acknowledge and appreciate that in politics, it's about chess game. It's about probability of victory. Nobody knows for sure when an election is called that the incumbent must win, but the incumbent will take a decision which, in its mind, will give him the best chance.
Somebody actually challenged yesterday and said, I think the Prime Minister can call an election anytime. He said, speak to a lawyer about that, because he has to speak to the president. But the president, unadvised of the president. Do you think the election can be called, and the president might stop if the Prime Minister said, go ahead?
Well, legally, a president can't stop an election. It has happened. I think it happened in Trinidad several years ago.
Well, do you think that will happen in Dominica realistically?
Well, in the minds of many people, the president is an agent of the Dominica Labour Party. And where you have presidents being appointed through a prime minister, especially in an age like now where things are done with so much partisanship, it's unlikely that the president will make herself independent and to not dissolve a house of parliament should the prime minister says dissolve the house and declare an election date. That is unlikely to happen. I don't see the president of Dominica taking up that stance. And therefore, what is most likely to happen is that if the prime minister decides to declare an election tomorrow and he advises the president to dissolve the house, it will happen. Fait accompli.
She would have a choice.
She will always have a choice, but as to whether she should resist the prime minister's wish, that is something else. I don't see it happening, Matt. And I don't think we should rely on that. As we speak, I think that as an opposition, we have to start putting things in place. Ultimately, it is not what they can do, but what we should do.
Going back to the question, so if the prime minister, as you said, can call an election anytime, would the opposition be ready?
Well, the opposition is in the process of readiness. That's why we're here. We're having a discussion with you where they're interacting with the public to make it known unto the public that we're ready. And whenever an election is called, we'll be there. The people will be there.
Bernard, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with most of that. I mean, but the most important thing to me is, are the Dominican people ready, right? Are the Dominican people at the stage of readiness, which they should be, given the dismal performance of this government, to replace this government? Are the Dominican people ready? Are they finally ready? That's a more important question than is the opposition ready in my mind, because we are ready. We're doing everything that we can within our powers. But we need your cooperation and we need your readiness. We need you to say, this cannot continue. And Matt, not just has Dominicans been, disadvantaged, or what was the word Chastney used, cheated or so forth.
Betrayed,
yes. I think they've been kidnapped.
Kidnapped.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a little strong.
No, it's absolutely accurate. Dominicans have been kidnapped because
Dominicans are under a spell. Maybe you might say that.
Their institutions have been kidnapped. Their institutions have been captured. And so once you have captured the institutions of a society and the society has to operate within these rules, you have effectively kidnapped their freedom. And that is what is occurring in Dominica. The erosion of institutional capture over 25 years, placing only those who support you and who are your henchmen in key positions in every mechanism that's meant to control the government, every mechanism that's meant to regulate the government, to keep the rails of democracy within limits, within the rails of democracy. All those things have been captured. And so, Dominica is in a sorry state in terms of its democracy, its civilization, of good governance. It has been captured by a group of people who have figured out the gaps in democracy, the weaknesses which are always there. That's part of the process. But over 25 years, you've been able to figure that out, and you've completely captured the society. And so we are a society under siege. We are a society kidnapped, and we do have Stockholm syndrome, where we worship and we praise our kidnapper as the necessary, right? And so the metaphor is a very real thing. It's a very real thing. And so that is what we need to be doing as a society, is to get ready to say enough is enough. Because I think the greatest thing, the disaster that has occurred in Dominica's history, because now this government is almost half of Dominica's history, the greatest independent history. The greatest disaster was that we were captured by those folks, because we missed the 21st century. We missed the opportunity of engaging fully, creatively, innovatively in the direction and the future of the 21st century, because we were under this government who was more interested in getting cash in their pockets, allegedly, than developing the institutional capacity, the human capital capacity to participate fully in the 21st century and to overcome a lot of the limitations that Dominica had in terms of geography and so forth and size. We could have overcome this with good, innovative, creative leadership. But it's not too late. We're here now and we're ready to pivot.
Are you the caller? Yes.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, sir.
Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Hey. Morning.
Morning, bro.
Although I never bring a call again because it was just speak to what I was calling about. Them labor rights are calling or messaging you and asking about the opposition ready. You think if the people them not ready, Matt? If the people them I know they're big which we have to pray a lot. We have to pray. I'm a praying person, we have to pray a lot because it has some demon over those people. Imagine a labor rights calling me. They tell me that they want to send me text. They want my voice to say, to ask, and to tell the opposition they're not leaders are not ready. But Mr. Thompson Fountain and each one other for the Josh, just hold strong and don't make the violate. Because I know it's a hard thing, especially the question about if people ready. Because I'm a farmer. And if you try to save a crab have no sense. If you try to pick up a stone or piece of wood on a crab, but it will bite you. And that is most of them Dominicans, so they're behaving. So we need to pray and Josh and you keep on talking and do branch over. Don't do like with Jude, like Joseph Isaac and the Timothy and Doreen Bannon. Just hold strong. I know now if you go to Spirit now, Josh, you will house, land, and everything, and even a wife if you want a wife. Because you want. So just hold strong, my brother. I know you're strong or you're not beggy. And Mr. Linton, I don't hear any much, but hold strong. All right.
Somebody says somebody called last week and said the passport she has now is the one before and has not been expired. She said she had no intention of traveling before. Therefore, she has no need to acquire the current passport. Can she use that passport? She
valid passport.
It's not.
It has to be a valid passport. It has to be up to date. The electronic passport is what is considered to be a valid passport. So she would need to get a valid passport.
Okay. 4493095. These calls are still coming in. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Sorry about that.
But even that is problematic, because it's issued by the government. It's not issued for not using it for travel, and people are using these passports even as we speak to get the monies from the Cambio man and from Western Union and so on. They're using it in the banks and so. I think
more grounds for legal
again,
challenge.
just make it easy. Just make it. Why are they putting so many roadblocks in people's paths to getting confirmed? That process should be seamless, and it's not.
Mr. Ito, a question specifically for you. If an election is to be called now, are you ready yourself? And in what constituency would you contest?
Well, that's a question that's always asked. Yes, I think we're ready as possible. It's always an uphill battle to build the institutional and constitutional machinery that you need to do as a party. It's especially difficult when you are a minority party. But I think we're doing all that we can, given our limitations and our resources, to be ready. And I think the most important thing about being ready is whether people are ready to listen to the message and listen to the possibilities and the leadership that is being offered. I think that is the key thing to being ready. As for where I will run, that's going to be a tactical decision. But my roots are, of course, in town and around town, and so that's a natural habitat for me. But where exactly that will take place will be a tactical decision that will be decided, closer there. But I think the key issue in Dominica is whether the Dominican people are ready, and they should be ready for a change in government, and what sort of team. And I'm talking across the board, I'm talking across parties and so forth, are they willing to put together and willing to support? Because I think that is the key thing. I think that's the key thing, and I believe we can win an election, but the key thing for us to win an election is the Dominican people have to believe that we are ready, we are capable, and we can get the job done and get the job done better. And that is where we need to convince them. I think we can. I think they do already realize that. But that is where the work is. Because as soon as the Dominicans realize we have a team that can win, we have people who can get the job done, we have people we can believe in and trust, I think that can happen very quickly overnight. There'll be a shift in mentality and psychology that says, yes, we're ready. We've been waiting for you to be ready. Let's go together and we can flip this thing and win an election.
Someone said, I disagree with Jean Schra. I used my old ID passport, which is not yet expired, to do official transaction. Just needs to rethink his position.
Well, Matt, that is not my position. That is the position of the electoral office. I had a very long conversation with the chief elections officer. I also had a conversation with the chairman of the electoral commission, just to get clarity on several issues of contention. And of course, I got a lot of information, which I continue to share with the public.
Okay.
And generally, Matt, legally, if someone were to take the old passport and attempt to travel to go to St. Martin or St. Lucia, it may not be accepted.
Or even go to Western Union.
Exactly.
It's expired.
Hence the reason why the word valid is attached to passport. And in a situation like that, we can make it easy. The person simply needs to renew the passport. If the person has financial difficulties, speak to one of the leaders or speak to somebody who can assist. Hence the reason why I have been saying that we in the opposition, we have a responsibility to go out to the respective communities, find out who are the people absent a valid ID, and to assist or facilitate the people so that they can get confirmed. Because ultimately, we want our supporters to be confirmed. I personally am taking this opportunity to encourage every Dominican to get confirmed on the voters list. Failure to confirm or failure to register or re-register when the opportunity arises means that you would not be able to participate in an election. It cannot be for the past 25 years. You would like to see a change of government. The opportunity presents itself to change the government, and you would not be able to do so voluntarily because you decide that you're not going to confirm. To me, that's a paradox. That's contradictory, and that's inconsistent. You cannot be suffering and denying yourself and denying the country the opportunity to breathe. So please get confirmed.
Let's take a phone call. Yes. Caller.
Morning
to you.
Morning, Matt.
Morning.
I'm going to your guests, Ito, Dr. Fountain, and Chancellor Francis, and your listeners at home and abroad. I want to commend the leaders and those who are calling to make positive contribution and those who are engaged, who are involved in ensuring that our democracy stays alive. We'll not use a word a while ago, which I support, but our democracy is kidnapped. These guys came in and they use the same level that others use to get into government, and they have tried their very best to make it difficult for the playing field to be leveled. And everything we advise, everything we try to do, they make it like as if this is a war of words and a war and a disunity that we're having. I have seen prime ministers in the past engage with opponents to discuss matters of state. This government, I mean, if you look at that, they may have a good nag of winning election, but when it comes to governing, they are incapable of doing that because after 25 years is what you call half of your productive life and so forth, and have been in government for 25 years. And this government has received the most money than any other government in the history of this country. They got disaster money, they got COVID money, they got VAT money, and they get the CBI money. And all of these monies are not injected in the economy to make life better for the people of Dominica and so forth. I mean, the only reason why Dominicans got houses is when Lennox made the declaration of the missing monies, and the government decided to have something to show, to talk about they build the houses. And I think there was many years ago they said when you do the audit that the Amir should be ashamed and he would not be fit to be Prime Minister or Minister of Finance. I remember Ken Vital, who was leader of the Freedom Party, says if they can prove that discussion wrong, the statement wrong, then he would resign as leader of the Freedom Party. And obviously they haven't done that and so forth. So it tells you these guys have wasted a lot of time, a lot of energy. And Dominicans, if you look at them, a lot of Dominicans have just, what they call Biwayo Cafe. They just feel discouraged. And the fact that a lot of people are leaving Dominica and looking for jobs in Grenada, in St. Lucia, in St. Martin, in Antigua, in St. Kitts tells you that this is not coming here. But all people are leaving, tells you that things are not bright on our side. And in the question of the election, I just sent you something from St. Vincent. And I'll tell you, the last election in Grenada, I saw a crowd of the New National Party, and you had a sea of green. And when somebody called me, I told them that I see that and they're looking in good shape. But I told them to take nothing for granted because when I asked them to develop the National Congress support have grown, and then they came back and won the election. So election is about work, smart work, and the most important thing about election is what you call your election day machinery. If it's not in order, then you could lose votes. Because a lot of people came out for celebration, but actually not really going out to the polls. And I agree with George who said that those who can, with their ID, passport, or driver's license, or social security card, could register, could confirm, they should do so. We are pushing for the birth certificate thing to come back because that is a great help to many persons. Because the reason why the government is helping its supporters is because they recognize it's a cost, and that should not be a cost exercise for people who want to just confirm their name on the register and so forth. And I think we're pushing that. We deliver a letter after our press conference on last week, Thursday. We deliver a letter to the chairman of the Electoral Commission and a letter to the chief elections officer. There is no concern on these issues. So the point is we have to be ready, but the people of Dominica themselves must not be spectators in this affair. They must be participants in democracy. And that's what we're calling everybody to get involved and ensure that after 25 years of one government, you're kind of tired. They have nothing new to offer. They can offer nothing new except to just waste time, occupy space, and build bubbles. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Two comments here I want to read there quickly. Hopefully there are meetings around the island to inform Dominicans that they all need to be reconfirmed. Radio does not reach all, of course, Q95 don't reach all around the island, so you guys need to go around the country and, of course, re-emphasize that everybody needs to be confirmed. Another comment there, Dominicans will be ready when you present them with a team, a winning team, and work on the ground. Thompson, how we talk unity, and we've been seeing a lot of signs for the past 2 weeks. You guys are working together. What are you saying moving forward? Will we see a reflection of unity on the ground with the parties? Are you talking to the other parties there?
But we have been in constant communication. I think it's very, very important as you build up towards an election that those conversations among the opposition takes place. Everybody agrees that an opposition stands the best chance as a united opposition. So there is no question about it. We have to do what we have to do to get rid of this administration. And it involves unifying the opposition against this Dominican Labour Party. The fact of the matter is Dominicans are fed up. They're tired of this Labour Party and they want out. And so we have to be able to offer them this option. And so whatever it takes, whatever strategy, whatever planning, whatever work it takes, we are prepared to do it, including spending the time on the ground, including talking to people, and just, in particular, our young people, getting the message across to them that you have persons in the opposition who will do a far better job than this government and who are committed towards a better Dominica.
I'm hearing there's some pushback within your party, Thompson, as it relates to particularly Joshua Francis. So a lot of people saying, well, Joshua needs to be welcomed back in the United Workers' Party. What's the discussion on that level?
Matt, you said pushback. Well, Josh is a former deputy leader.
So you put the name on the spot there.
Josh is a former deputy leader of the United Workers' Party who contested 2 elections for the United Workers' Party in 2014 and again in 2019. Yes. And I think at the end of the day, what is important is what is best, for the country, and what is best to give you that victory. So any route that we see that will take us to that goal, that's what we will do, And obviously, different people have different opinions on different things on who should be not. But at the end of the day, you will understand that when you're in politics, the way you win an election is by addition. You the more you can add people onto your slate, is the easier it gets to you. So we are not in the business of subtraction. We're in the business of addition.
I like that answer, Joshua. Your reactions. That's very, very question.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, Matt. Ultimately, what we want is to win at least 11 constituencies at the next general election, meaning the opposition.
Mhm.
That's the only way we can form a new government. We must win 11 seats. Therefore, amongst us, we have to sit and to analyze how are we going to win those 11 seats. And where I sit and where I stand from that point of view, I am prepared to take a decision which will add value to the quest and pursuit of winning at least 11 seats. I am prepared to do what Dominicans would like me to do to ensure that we secure a victory at the polls next time elections is
Have
called.
you decided what constituency you may consider?
Well,
moving
naturally, Roseau South has to be one of the constituencies
You
in the
consider.
matrix. I don't have a choice. The people of Roseau South continue to love their Joshua Francis. On a daily basis, I meet constituents from Roseau South who ask Joshua, when are you going to declare that you will run or you will contest? I meet people who say, Joshua, wherever you are, I am with you. Joshua, wherever you go, I am going.
So it could be any constituency.
The Kalinago territory is also a constituency that I am associated with. My roots are in the Kalinago territory as well. And I do have persons from the Kalinago territory asking for my availability to contest the election for and on behalf of the opposition parties.
So will you be willing to knock doors in Carib territory? If that potential comes up?
Wherever I am called to appear for and on behalf of constituents, whether it's Roseau South, Roseau Central,
Roseau
who
North?
knows, Roseau North, anywhere, Matt. The people call on Joshua Francis and I am prepared to act for and on behalf of the constituency. As Bernard said earlier on, at this stage, it's a little bit early to determine exactly where and who is going to contest. It would be nice if we have certain candidates for the respective constituencies. But at this hour, we have to look at the situation. We have to look at the map. We have to analyze who is available, look at our resources. And when the time comes, we'll take the right decision.
On the telephone, are you there? Yes? Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there? You're not. Hello, try another call. Are you there?
Matt, good morning and good morning to everybody.
Morning. Yes.
Anyway, they put the attorney, the wise lawyer is okay. Once they put him in. Thank you.
Thank you. Another phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes. Wow. Not too much
Matt,
time.
I'm calling on Joshua Francis to come to Roseau North because there seems to be a vacuum here. And we would love to have him.
Roseau North, wow. You have several constituencies to consider, Joshua.
Well, the thing about politics for me, Matt, is my politics is on the ground. Really is building relationships with people. In some constituencies, it may take 8 months to build relationship with the constituents. In others, it may take a year. In some others, it may take 2 years. But I'm prepared to make the sacrifice once I commit myself to do that. I will go on the ground. I will meet with the people. I will speak with them, get to know what are their needs, and to go out there and to represent the needs. I must say, Matt, even when I was a parliamentary representative in the Roseau South constituency or for the Roseau South constituency, I got things done. My presence, by acting for the people, keep calling, keep agitating. The government had no choice but to deliver the goodies, particularly just before the general election. They found themselves fixing roads, rehabilitating roads, and giving the people handouts because they felt that unless if they did certain things, they would not have been successful. So even from an opposition point of view, I was able to deliver to the people. And should I decide that I'm going back as a candidate in the Roseau South constituency, I have no doubt that I'll be successful because the current parliamentary representative has failed the constituency in many, many, many areas. Likewise, in the Kalinago territory, the Roseau North, and many other constituencies in Dominica.
Somebody just said we want you in vacant.
Well, that's a little bit remote from my home, you know. That would be extraordinary work. I would have to bring Bernard and Dr. Funk Delivery to assist, you know.
That sounds like someone's throwing us under the bus.
Oh boy.
Folks, it's 11 o'clock. I'm sure we'll be meeting again sometime soon.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Matt, always a pleasure, man.
All right, Mr. Ito, thank you.
Yeah, God bless you. God bless Dominica.
That's
The finest love we have.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Tio Kubule, Teta Nukabwe, Tio Kubule, Teta Munekwe, Hele Kubule, Nukache Defo, Selma Kubule, Pape Angi Anko, Bakalache, 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 Tio Noebe Kubule, Bakalache, 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 Tio Noebe Kubule, Bakalache, 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 Noebe Kubule, Bakalache, 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 Nukabwe Kubule. Drink responsibly.
Esau Trading Limited 47th Independence Celebration is on. Shop $47 and over and get a chance to win $3,000 worth of vouchers. First prize winners receive a $500 voucher. Second prize winners $300 voucher. Third prize winners $200 voucher. And 20 vouchers will be available at the value of $100 each. Independence season, Esau Trading Limited is offering senior citizens 15% discount every Wednesday from October 15th to November 25th, 2025. Also, loyalty card holders will receive double points every Tuesday and Thursdays. And customers who purchase one packet of Hare's Deep Dish Pizza 6 ounce or Hare's Restaurant Style 9 ounce will get a 1 ounce packet free honey cheese flavored or barbecue flavored potato chip. You will also get 10% off 8 packet 1 ounce Hare's snacks. Hurry, this offer ends on November 15th, 2025. Esau Trading Limited. We are here for you.
It is our 43rd
Global View on Q show for 2025. And we continue to engage with our local, regional, and global Q family listeners and friends of Dominica at home and abroad. My co-host is Justice Dr. Irving Andre. Our guest tonight is businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly. Tonight we ask, has the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, in agribusiness, in manufacturing, in tourism, in foreign relations, in modern...
Easy Rock 95.1. More rock, less talk while you work. The latest soft rock hit after hit. Tune into Easy Rock.